One review. Book 101 is all about the books that I read for the last 40 years. And today I have my special guest. She is an author of children's Bible poem books, no other than Miss Roxanne Giardina.
Hi.
Welcome to Book 101, Miss Roxanne. And can you please introduce more about yourself?
Hi. My name is Roxanne Giardina, and yes, I write children's poem books. I live in Round Rock, Texas. I teach. Um, Currently, I am at Round Rock Christian Academy, and I teach anywhere from kindergarten to fifth grade. And I totally enjoy teaching. And the Bible poem books came about from me teaching. So, but you may want to get into that later. I'm not sure what questions you want to ask first.
Miss Roxanne Giardina, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. What
Thank
was the initial spark or inspiration behind creating an alphabet book focused on God's character and biblical truth?
Well, it started before this book. I taught preschool about 14 years ago. And when I taught preschool, the kids had Bible stories. And I would make a Bible poem for each story to make it more concise for the children. And after I had so many of them, it was like, why don't I make a book? So I did, and that came about. It came to be three books, and the books were published. But since then, the publisher passed away. It was a very small publishing house, and so those books, Treasure Chest of Precious Pearls, aren't like they're not in print anymore. I'm hoping to get them in print in the future. But right now, I have God's Amazing ABCs, which I wanted to do another poem book. So I thought it's kind of like a Mother Goose type rhyming thing, where it's quick, they're quick, they're short, they're kind of sing songy, and to me, it captures the children's attention, teaches them the alphabet or goes over the alphabet, and also gives them a little bit of background for Bible stories.
Who is your ideal reader for God's amazing ABC, and what's the primary message for feeling you hope they take away?
Probably 3 to 6 is probably because it's children who are learning the ABCs or children who are trying to review them, but it also introduces Bible stories. So, my primary focus for this is to give the kids a foundation for the Bible stories so that, and each letter has a couplet with it. That's 2 lines of poems, of poetry. And so you can't get a lot about the story in each letter. So, because of that, I've also made videos that children can look at. The videos are 3 to 5 minutes that go in depth about the letters of the alphabet, about the stories that I'm trying to get across on the alphabet. I really want to get God's word into children's hearts, um, in a way that they can remember, in a way that they can, it can just be a part of basically their learning experience as a child, and it can be a foundation for them.
Ms. Roxanne, how did you choose which specific attributes, names, or concepts of God to pair with each letter?
I wanted to put stories in there that are the most familiar with, that people kind of think about with the Bible, like letter A. A is for Adam. Okay, so he's the first man. But I also wanted to put things in there about who Jesus is and the hope that kids can have in their lives of knowing that he can be their savior. So I have couplets in there about that also.
Miss Roxanne, can you share an example of how a specific Bible verse or story directly inspired one of the letter entries in the book?
Okay, so A is for Adam, the very first man. He made a mistake, but God had a plan. And that inspired me because everybody makes mistakes, everybody does things wrong, and we all need to know that when we make a mistake, when we do things wrong, that God forgives us. He had a plan all set out before the mistake was even made, that we could go, that He was going to have His Son come down to earth and die so that we could be forgiven of our sins. And yes, if we make a mistake, we might feel guilty for a little bit, or but we need to know that God has a plan. And I think kids need to know that too, because kids are going to make a lot of mistakes when they're growing up because they're trying to grow up, they're trying to figure life out. So they need to know that when they do make a mistake, that it's okay. God will forgive them. And they're going to make lots of mistakes in their lives, kind of like a baby trying to walk. You know, a baby walks and they fall, and they walk and they fall. They make a mistake, but they don't give up. They don't crawl for the rest of their lives. They learn from it and they move on.
Well, very well said, Mr. Roxanne. Beautifully articulated.
Oh, thank you.
Very well said. What was the most challenging aspect of writing this book? Simplifying complex concepts, finding unique words, rhyme, scheme, or etc.
I think the most challenging thing for me was getting a couplet together and thinking of a story and having it rhyme was easy. I think the part that was hardest for me and took a little bit more time is to get that sing songy um, way of for each letter so that kids can be interested, because if you've got to have a certain number of beats, it's got to be consistent when you're doing these kind of poems. And if you go outside the beats and they're not right, or the syllables and they're not right, it doesn't have the same sound. And I think that was what was most it wasn't troubling, most difficult for me, because I would have to keep changing things around in order for that to happen. I
Indeed,
would,
Mr. Roxanne,
yeah, I would change the
indeed.
wording around, and sometimes because of that, I would have to find another word to rhyme and kind of make the second line totally different. Which, even though I say it was difficult, it's challenging. I don't know if difficult is really the right word. It's challenging, and I enjoy doing that. So it's a fun process for me. It's like figuring out a puzzle.
Challenging indeed. How closely did you collaborate with the illustrator?
Oh, the illustrator. This is so neat. This is a really good story. My illustrator, Kason Webb, was an old student of mine when I taught fifth grade. I was walking down the hall at school one day and I saw work that the kids had done in art. And I said, "Oh, who drew this picture? This is gorgeous." And it was Kason's. And I hadn't taught him for a few years, and I was able to get in touch with his mother because I wanted to talk through his parents versus through him, um, or directly to him. I just felt more comfortable talking to his parents, and he agreed to do this. So Kaysen was a former student of mine who was a really good student, and to me, I'm just glad that he had this opportunity to do this, and I'm proud that he wanted to do this for me.
And do you have personal favorite letter concept pairing in the book?
I do. Let me show you this one.
Yes, go ahead.
Um, it is. I liked uh, this one. This one right here.
Yes.
It says L is for the lion, but also for the lamb. Jesus is both and the seed of Abraham. I I love the way that that whole thing came together, and then I especially liked it even more once Casey drew the picture, because he did such a good job of getting the point across of what I wanted the children to see. That Jesus is both of those things. Like whatever we need him to be at a given time, he can be those things, and he is those things for us.
Indeed. Again, Miss Roxanne, good job.
Thank you, thank you.
How do you envision parents, grandparents, or educators using God's amazing ABCs?
Well, I'm thinking it can be used in more than one way. I'm thinking it can be used at school. I'm also thinking it can be used for a bedtime story. Because when my kids were little, I would read the Mother Goose nursery rhymes to them as
Yes.
bedtime stories. So to me, these can also be bedtime stories. And like I said, they can be used at school for teachers to read to students, especially if it's students at a Christian school, because they can also go into depth about the story that is associated with each letter.
How do you balance the need of simplicity with conveying meaningful and accurate truth about God?
How do I balance what? I'm sorry.
Need for simplicity for young children.
Oh, for simplicity, and you're right. You can't put too much information into two lines, you know, and it needs to be simple in order for them to be able to comprehend it. And that's exactly why I made videos. I have videos. If you go to YouTube, I have videos under my name, Roxanne Giardina, for each and every letter. And the videos are 3 to 5 minutes a piece. And I have a puppet, a little lamb puppet, and little lamb and I discuss in further detail each little couplet so that the children can understand the stories better. They're only 3 to 5 minutes because you can't have a 20-minute video for little kids. They would like zone out, they would be done. In 3 to 5 minutes, you can explain the story. And so I've got A to Z, and I've started making second videos. Like A has 2 videos, B has 2 videos, so that I can give the kids different aspects of the story. So I do that too. I'm doing that too. But you're right, trying to make the story interesting, engaging, um, plus simple enough yet interesting enough for little kids. It it is it is something that can be hard to do, I guess. But like I said, I just kept going over them until I thought that I had just the right words in there. And I also had an editor that would say, "Well, can you change this or can you change that?" So that helped too. It's always good to have another set of eyes, you know, because we can think our work is great. I did this, but we need somebody else to look at it and to tell us, you really could change this. Like, because one of my poems I had to completely take out because I put Z as for zealous, and they were like, "Oh no, you can't put Z's for zealous. Little kids don't know what that means." And I'm thinking, that's a good point. So I had to totally change that whole point. So just things like that.
Ms. Roxanne, were there any attributes or names of God you really wanted to include but could not find a natural fit for within the ABC structure?
No, and the reason why I'm saying that is because I think there are opportunities for other books. You know,
Yes.
what I tried to do is I tried to find a different story or a different attribute for each letter. Um, and I figured um, with another book I could get to other ones, because like I said, I've got 3 books, which other books which I would like to get in print again, and it was treasure chest of precious pearls. And each one of them has 31 poems in it. So if I'm able to get enough books out there, I can hit all the stories, all the attributes, all the good qualities of God, the qualities that little kids need to know. Not only little kids, but adults need to know, because as they're reading these books to their kids, I think God can make things real in their lives too. When I remember I remember a night I was reading to my daughter about Noah and the ark, and it was just a child's Bible storybook. And through that Bible storybook, I was it was like I felt like God showed me something, and I had read that story my whole life through the regular adult Bible, but through the children's Bible, I saw a different aspect of it. So I think it's also good for adults so that they can sometimes they can see things in a different light with different wording.
Totally agree with you, Ms. Roxanne. As an author of children's Bible poem books, what are your short term and long term goals?
What?
What are your
Oh,
short term and long
oh,
term
my short
goals?
term and long term goals. I really want to get more books out there. I enjoy I enjoy the books, and I want to get more videos out there. I enjoy writing poems. It's like that fills my tank. You know, if you're doing something that you really enjoy, you're excited when you finish it and you want to do more. And that's how I feel about poems. When I want to write more of them. In fact, I've got two more books that are at the publishers good night books for little children. And who knows, maybe I could do one with numbers. Maybe I could do one specifically for the different stories in the Bible so that I could go more in depth on the printed page versus on videos.
Good luck to your goals, Ms. Roxanne, and hoping for more success. What would be your piece of advice for those people out there want to have a children's book like you?
What's a piece of advice for what?
For those author want to have a children's
Oh, for an
Bible
author
poem
who
books.
wants one, who wants to
Yes.
do one, to me, don't give up. Just don't give up because, like I said, I wrote three books, Treasure Chest of Precious Pearls, and when that publisher passed away, and that dream kind of died, I didn't know what to do, but I didn't give up. I wrote more, and I sent these out, and so to me, that's the thing. You just can't give up. You just got to keep trying. If it's your passion, if you feel like you have something to offer others, then just keep at it.
Yes, people, don't give up. Try until you succeed and
Yes,
stop
exactly.
procrastinating. If you have the passion of writing any kind, like children's books or novels or memoir, go for it.
Right,
Ms.
exactly.
Roxanne, thank you for your advice. And what do you believe it's important to introduce very young children to concept about God's character in this structured way?
Yes, I believe it's very important to introduce God to children at a young age, because at this time of their lives they're forming their thoughts, they're forming what they believe in. And I think God needs to be a part of that foundation, because then they're more accepting of him as an adult if they get it when they're children.
Have you considered companion resources like a board book versions for babies, activity book, or even exploring numbers? Similarly, God's amazing one, two, threes.
Oh, that's yes, I have considered board books, but that's the publisher's decision and not mine. Activity books, that's a very good idea. I appreciate that. I hadn't thought of that, but that's a very good idea.
Why do you believe it's like doing a godly children's book will empower our generation to come?
Yes, I do think that planting seeds of God in young children will empower generations to come, because it's what we learn as young children is what it gives more influence to us in our lives, I think, than we know, than we can imagine. I think it has more of an impact when we hear it as a child, um, than than if we get older. Yes, we always need to hear it. We always need to know about God. But as a child, if you hear it then, I do think it has a big impact on their future.
Indeed, a big impact for our generation to come. How important were the illustrations in conveying the message alongside the text?
I think the illustrations are very important because if the children don't like looking at the pictures, they want to see the pictures. They want to see the pictures. They're not going to want to hear the words. So I
Yes.
think it's very important the for the illustrations to be to relate to the poem, but also to capture the child's interest for the child to want to look at the book. And I think you can see from the cover what a good job Kaysen did. He just did a wonderful job portraying. This one is about God having things in his hands. You see his hands, and
Yes.
he did a very good job portraying that.
How does God's amazing ABCs fit into intentionally depart from the long tradition of children's alphabet books?
It departs from it because and there may be other alphabet books out there that are related to the Bible. Um, but I don't think there are. If there are, I don't think there are a whole lot. And I think this is good because of the rhyming aspect of it, because of the sing-songy kind of rhythm it's got going. I think it can capture a child's attention because it goes fast. Kids don't want to sit and listen on and on. It needs to go fast. It needs to be exciting. This goes fast. It has a cute a rhythm to it that will capture them, and the pictures are very they're very good.
Indeed, very good and amazing. And Ms. Roxanne, before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you or my listeners or whoever watching us right now, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people, my other podcast, because or my audiobooks, people. I please do grab or listen to my audiobooks, people, because my book 101 review volume 1 highly recommended, book 101 review volume 3 suggestions, and book 101 review volume 2 selected are on Audible and one of the bestsellers. And of course, my Earth Fever, the Unraveling Climate, and Our Race to Restore Balance. Thread of existence weaving the tapestry of life, and life is too short. A journey of discovery, of fulfillment, of joy. Stand tall, stand together, breaking the chains of bullying. Please do listen to them on Audible because they are one of the best sellers. So, Ms. Roxanne, looking back on the completed book with your deepest hope for how God's amazing ABCs will be used in homes, churches, and school to nurture young hearts and minds.
Yes, I just wanted to set them on the right path in life. I want them to start off on the right path, and I think this helps do that. I'm glad you said that about audiobooks because I completely forgot about saying this. But I
Yes,
have a website, and it's roxannegiardina.com. So if they can look up there and see how to spell my name, it's roxannegiardina.com. And if they go on there, they can download the book, of course, minus the pictures, but they can download the book, the ebook, and
yes.
they can see if they would like to purchase it. It's free of charge if anybody would like to go do that. So I'm glad you mentioned that because I didn't even think of that. I'd forgotten.
No worries at all, Ms. Roxanne Giardina. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. So, can you please invite our listeners to support God Amazing ABCs?
Thank you so much. I've really enjoyed this. Thank you. Appreciate the opportunity.
So, Mr. Roxanne, where do you usually buy the book?
They can go to Amazon.com, they can go to BarnesandNoble.com, or they can go to their favorite bookstore and their bookstore can order it for them if they don't have it.
Yes, people, let's support Mr. Roxanne Giardina because if you support her, more and more and more empowering children's books like this to come, or Christian children's books to come. So, Mr. Roxanne, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for your time.
More to come, people. See you soon.